Hello, Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today we're going to be talking about Memory. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros: movie stars Liam Neeson. I'm not going to go over his track record again because I literally did it 2 months ago. I'm not going to go over it in detail, but I am going to give you a very brief Cliff Notes version of his track record. Like, he's been around for a long time. He's done a lot of stuff that most people know about. Schindler's List, Phantom Menace, uh like the main two initially. Narnia, where he was the voice of Aslan the lion. And then 2009, everything changed. He made Taken, and that movie pretty much became his identity for the next decade and a half, or close to a decade and a half. Because pretty much nearly every movie he's made after that has been just him in an action movie setting where he's like an old badass and he has to like shoot up all the bad guys. I mean, well, I guess the Clash of the Titans and Wrath of the Titans don't really count in that, but I guess A-Team kind of counts. But after that, we really get the ball rolling. In the next 3 days, Unknown, The Gray, which is actually quite good. Let's ignore Battleship, Taken 2, Nonstop, Walk Among the Tombstones, Taken 3, Run All Night. Then he took a little bit of break from that, and then he made The Commuter. Then he was part of Widows, and then I forgot he was in Men Black International. I think we all forgot about that movie. And then last few years he's made Honest Thief, The Marksman, Blacklight, and I guess The Ice Road, but that was on Netflix. But yeah, he's made feels like a never-ending barrage of action movies, and a decent amount of them have been successful. A decent amount of them have made quite a bit of nice little cat. Oh, Cold Pursuit, that's another one. I'm telling you, there's too many of these movies. um, yeah, some of these movies have done pretty darn well for themselves. So it's clear he has a fan base that's willing to watch him in a, a number of these movies. Not all of them, but enough of them. So I imagine some of that fan base will show up to see this. So I guess Liam Neeson's name is a pro in some respects, but it's also a con, but I'll get to that later. So yeah, Liam Neeson in his wheelhouse, pro. Another pro, this is the only movie coming out this weekend. This is like after like weeks of like multiple movies coming out. This is just a one movie weekend. It's this. So I guess that's good. It doesn't have like any extreme like direct competition in like the action movie sphere because Ambulance is dead. Um The Northman, I mean that movie's not doing so hot. Um Bearable Weight of Massive Talent isn't doing so hot. Morbius is done. It is beyond dead. Um, I think that's it when it comes to like the action movie, genre. So yeah, no extreme direct competition right now. Right now, I have to emphasize right now because we all know what's coming out next week. But I'll get to that when we get to the cons. But no direct competition this weekend because it's literally the only movie coming out this weekend. So that's a pro in my book. Another pro I can think of, it has ads. It has advertising. I've seen YouTube ads of this, which I mean it's better than nothing, I guess. So that's a pro, I guess. It's a very minor pro. I guess another pro is that the premise is kind of interesting, where basically has this guy, right? The gimmick of the movie, like the pitch of the movie, is that he's losing his memory. He's basically has Alzheimer's, right? Basically, like an Alzheimer's assassin, more or less. That's how you would describe this. I mean, I'll give it that. I'll give them this. It's different. It's not something I've seen like in recent memory. Darn it, the movie's called Memory, and I used memory anyway. The premise is a little bit different from Liam Neeson's other action movies. I'll give it that. That might give it a bit of an edge, but I don't think it's going to happen. But I'm still going to count it as a pro. It's a little different from some of his other movies. Okay, that's it. That's all I can think of for pros. Cons. Back to Liam Neeson. Now, I already mentioned he's made a lot of these action movies, and a lot of them have done well in the past. All right. I mean, the Taken movies, The Gray, Unknown, Non-Stop. Non-Stop was like the last big action movie he really made. That was it. And then it was all downhill from there. Well, I guess there was Taken 3, but I never want to think about that movie ever again. A Walk Among the Tombstones, that flopped. Run All Night flopped. Commuter did meh. Cold Pursuit did meh. And then I can't be too harsh towards Honest Thief and The Marksman because they came out at a very, very, very bad time for movies. Obviously, like nobody was going to the movies at this point. So I can't be too harsh, but they still didn't do that great. But Blacklight, I can be harsh. I can't be harsh about that because Blacklight came out at a time where business was comparatively much, much, much healthier than it was with The Marksman and Honest Thief. And it did worse than The Marksman and Honest Thief. It completely bombed. And that was only 2 months ago, so it was pretty darn recent. So that's a bad sign. I think it's just a bad sign that I guess people are really starting to get sick of these movies. At least a good amount of the population is getting sick of these movies. So that's a very bad sign. So that's a con. Just Liam Neeson's action movies they're on the downslide. They've been on a downslide for a while. So that's a con. Number con, reviews. They're bad. Last I checked, it's like a 29% Rotten Tomatoes. Granted, it's far better than Blacklight, which I believe that was like in the single digit range. I think it was like 8%. So this is much better than that, but that 28% is not going to convince anyone to see this movie. That's the type of score you don't want. So, yeah, bad reviews, that's a big con. Another con is the director. I mean, the poster here emphasizes, the director from Casino Royale, and yeah, Casino Royale was a big hit. It was the movie that revitalized Bond. It was the first of the Daniel Craig Bonds. So it makes sense you would mention that, but besides that, and GoldenEye too, and I guess Legend of Mask of Zorro, you can count that as well. What else does this dude have? Not much. Legend of Zorro, ick. Green Lantern, I don't need to explain that. Edge of Darkness, that was a flop. The Foreigner, did whatever. And The Protege, which was released last year, that did very bad. Now I remember The Protege, like there was like someone who commented on my video on it, and they said, "Oh, it failed because there was like this bias against like I guess non-American Hollywood movies. It was made like in East Europe, something like that." I'm like, no, that's not why. It's because the movie looked generic as hell and nobody cared about it. That's what really happened. So, and the same kind of applies to this in a way. So, yeah, this director has had a lot of bombs on his resume. A very recent bomb last year, so that's a con. And the biggest con of all, really, is that this whole weekend, can be described as the calm before the storm. Because guess what comes out next week? Guess. Take a wild guess. Still haven't figured it out? It's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which is expected to make big money. Not Spider-Man No Way Home big money, but still big money. It should at least do better than the Batman. Yeah, that movie is going to get all the attention, and I imagine everyone right now is probably thinking, should I spend my money on memory or should I save my money to watch something bigger, something more epic in scale? And I imagine everyone's gonna pick the second option, and that includes me, because I'm very excited to see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So this movie's kind of screwed in not one way but two ways. One way because nobody cares about it, and then in another way is that next week Doctor Strange 2 is going to murder every movie that came before it. All the April movies are going to get wiped out in an instant. Because that's what usually happens with big Marvel movies. Like, this has happened in the past multiple times. I mean, it happened with Endgame, it happened with Infinity War, it happened with Guardians 2, happened with Captain America Civil War, Age of Ultron, Iron Man 3, The Avengers. This is not a new thing. Hell, Spider Man 3 as well. So this is not a new thing, and the memory is just gonna be memory's gonna be a casualty of like the Marvel effect. So yeah, Doctor Strange 2 coming out next week is going to kill this movie. So that's a big con, the biggest con going against it. And I guess another con is that there's still a lot of movies out right now. There's still a lot of variety. There's Sonic 2, there's Fantastic Beasts 3, which although that movie's bombing hard, there's The Bad Guys, which I imagine is going to stay at number 1. There's Northman, Bearable Weight of Massive Talent, Everything Everywhere All at Once is still alive. There's a lot going on. And I feel like memory is just going to fall through the cracks because that's just what's going to happen. So, yeah, this crowded marketplace, that's a con. I think that's it. So, opening weekend, what? Man, I guess it'll be very easy for me to compare this to his last several movies for Liam Neeson. So Honest Thief, that opened with, let me see, that opened with 3.6 million. That opened with 3.6 million. It was number 1, which really tells you how bad things were. Marksman, that opened with 3.1 million, also number 1. Again, the market was just that awful. And Blacklight, which 2 months ago, that opened with 3.5 million. So I imagine Memory is going to be in the same ballpark as those, like the exact same ballpark. So I'm going to say an opening between 3 to 4 million, I think is reasonable for this movie. And its total, I'd be amazed if it made it past 10 because again, Doctor Strange 2. So I'm going to go with like 8 to 9, 8 to 10 million total. That's where I think it's going to land. And yeah, that's it. So that's Memory. Now, next week for the movies people actually care about. It's the start of the summer season, the summer movie season, actually. And it's kicking off a bang. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which is expected to make a shit ton of cash. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to talk about it. So, yeah, but that's not till next week. And then after that, things get a little dead. Well, not dead as in like lack of quantity. I mean, we got Family Camp. I'm dreading talking about that. There's Firestarter, there's Down Abbey 2, there's Top Gun Maverick and Bob's Burgers, the movie. And that's pretty much it for May. And then after that, it's literally just like 1 to 2 movies a week until July 15th. So, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's good. I don't have to worry about making a bunch of videos like at once for a while. So that's going to feel great. But yeah, that's what's going to look like for the next several weeks. So stay tuned for all those videos. But anywho, yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. You want to check out more videos like this? I got a playlist on the homepage with all previous prediction videos I made on the channel this year. I did Blacklight back in February. So if you want to watch my prediction video on that or any others I've done this year, you can go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. I covered Memory once, and that was because it was grouped in with a bunch of other movies. Fast 10 and Bullet Train were two of them. And I forgot what number. It was in the 90s. I think it was 94. It was 94, yeah. Episode 94, that's where I talked about this movie. So if you want to watch that episode or any others I've done, and plus the one I'm going to make right after this video because the news just refuses to take a break. So, yeah, but if you want to watch all the canceled episodes I've done up to this point, all 123, soon to be 124, you can go right ahead and watch those in, binge them in chronological order. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. April recap, that comes next week, right before Doctor Strange 2. Man, oh man, April was weird. It was filled with a lot of highs and lows, to say the least. So, yeah, that's going to be a month. I imagine it's going to be a lengthy video, too, because there's so much to discuss with some of these movies. So, stay tuned for that. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I've done on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.